Chapter 4. Deny yourself. And he said to them, The kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and those who exercise authority over them are called benefactors. Luke 22:25. Benefactor is not an insult. It simply meant that they were recognized as someone who had money and power. But not so among you. On the contrary, he who is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he who governs as he who serves. Luke 22:26. The word for serves can be translated errand boy. If you want to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, Jesus says, don't be a benefactor, be an errand boy. For who is greater, he who sits at the table or he who serves? Is it not he who sits at the table? Yet I am among you as the one who serves. Luke 22:27. When we enter a restaurant and sit down, we don't commend the waiter on how wonderful he is. No. We call him over and order our food. In the world's eyes, the one who sits at the table and eats is always greater than the one who serves. In contrast, what are the facts of heaven? The greatest is actually the servant. Do not argue about who is the greatest. Deny yourself. Concern yourself with others and become great like Jesus. Now here is the most amazing part of the argument between the disciples. Do you know when they were arguing? Luke 22 reveals that they were actually arguing in front of Christ about their own greatness while they were taking the last meal before the crucifixion. He breaks the bread and says, This is my body which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Luke 22:19. He takes the wine and says, This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. Luke 22:20. He shares the tragedy that lies ahead. But behold, the hand of my betrayer is with me on the table. And truly the Son of Man goes as it has been determined, but woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. Luke 22:21 and 22. And then a fear breaks out among them concerning who could be capable of such an act of treason. Then they began to question among themselves which of them it was who would do this thing. Luke 22:23. This soon turned into, Now there was also a dispute among them as to which of them should be considered the greatest. Luke 22:24. Now do you understand why, according to John, immediately following the supper, Jesus girded himself with a cloth and began washing their feet? This is a good way to end an argument about greatness, isn't it? Have you ever had anybody wash your feet? The first time someone washed my feet was in India. It was utterly humbling, especially since the man who washed my feet only had 1 foot himself. Do you know what happens when your feet are washed? You become aware of who you really are. By washing their feet, Jesus was awakening their conscience. Their feet were surely dusty and dirty, so while they were busy arguing about who was the greatest, he revealed his nature and took the lowest position in the house. So when he had washed their feet, taken his garments, and sat down again, he said to them, Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, Well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. John 13:12-17. If you are not greater than your master, then why should you strive to be? Deny yourself and wash feet. Hallelujah!
Thank you for listening to the audio version of His Final Words, a discipleship manual by Travis Hunt. This audiobook will continue in the following videos.